I am Ross Hawkins, Director of the Academic Advising and Transfer Center at Missouri State University. This form is Technology in Advising Updates. Our facilitator for the advisor form is Brian Edmond. Brian is the coordinator of MIS, Management Information System, and he is a phenomenal colleague and friend to academic advisors on campus. I know that we say this often, and I hope, Brian, and your team, you feel this often, but we are so appreciative of all you do to help us advise students and help us serve our students well. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Ross. We are always excited to come and give technology updates for the advising community. As like Ross said, you guys are so important in helping the students succeed. And we try to give you systems and information that you can use to actually make that happen. I was talking to Ross before most people got signed on, and we realized that the last time we did a technology update for the advisors was February of 2020, which was just a month before our whole world, both professionally and personally, got turned upside down. So there's a lot of things that have happened in the last almost 2 years. There's a lot of changes that have happened over here. A lot of you probably already know about. Some of them we'll kind of go over a little bit today. And we'll also talk a little bit about some things that will be happening in the future. So I hope that you'll find this information useful. I'm going to share my screen and kind of introduce you to the other presenters we have here today. And I'll show you a PowerPoint slide that I have. Oops. Hey, can you all see that okay?
Yes, we can see it. Did you want it to take the whole screen?
That's fine, yeah.
Because right now we just see the slide and then the next slide and notes out to the side.
Oh, that's not what you need to see. Let me see if I can switch that. You see it better now?
Yes, that's great. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, no problem. So we're going to be kind of switching in and out here as we go through this. But the first thing I want to do is give you an agenda of what we're going to talk about. First thing I'm going to do is introduce everybody here so that they have a chance to say hi to you, and then each one will speak in turn. First up, I have Stacy Toon. Stacy, can you wave at everybody? She's going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn Learning. Stacy is a coordinator of enterprise systems. Then I'm going to ask Rob Martin, who is our Director of Cybersecurity and Enterprise Systems. He's going to talk a little bit about information security awareness. Rob, if you can give a little wave to everybody.
Hi.
And then next I have Christy Otting, who is the Coordinator for User Support. She is going to be talking about Team Dynamix, which is their new portal for supporting campus with technology issues, and also the self-service password reset. I'm also happy to say, oh yeah, hi, thanks Christy, to wave at everybody and say hi. I'm also happy to say that we have Jeff Coiner, who's our CIO, and Teresa McCoy, our Deputy CIO, who are listening in here. I basically convinced them how important you guys are to the functioning of the campus, and they were curious and they wanted to sign on and see what we'd be talking about. So they are around out here too, if you guys can give a little wave. And then as Ross mentioned, my name's Brian Edmond. I'm the coordinator of MIS. And we are the folks who kind of manage most of the applications on My Missouri State, most of Banner, and work with the different offices around campus to make sure that you are getting what you need out of the systems that the university has purchased. So with that, and what I'll do is I'll kind of wrap all this up with some news and updates that don't require their own speaker, but just some things that you guys probably would have interest in hearing more about. So I'm going to turn this over right away to Stacy to talk about LinkedIn Learning. I'm going to unshare my screen and then let her take over for a little bit.
Thank you, Brian. Once again, I'm Stacy Toon. I'm the coordinator of operations and systems, and I'm within the cybersecurity team. What I'm going to talk to you guys about today is LinkedIn Learning. So I'm not sure if all of you guys are familiar with how to access LinkedIn Learning. So I'm going to share my screen, and you can see the different ways that we access this. Hopefully you guys can all see my screen.
We
Great.
can.
Thank you. So if you are within my Missouri state, and as all of you guys are staff, I'm going to walk you through how staff would see this first, and then I'm going to walk you through how students will see this. There is a professional development portlet, and within that you can go to LinkedIn Learning, and this has single sign-on, so you only have to sign in to the portal, and then you will have access to it. On the student tab, there is a different way for them to access it. I think all advisors have access to this, so you should be able to see this as well. Under my career path, there is Access LinkedIn Learning, and that is one of the 3 different ways that they can actually get access to it. Also, on the registration tab, under resources, there is another link to LinkedIn Learning. I'm going to click on that, and then you guys will see how I automatically get logged in. Okay, and it will ask you a couple questions if it's the first time that you've logged in. I kind of cleared all this off so it would look similar to what you guys are seeing. One of the things that I wanted to walk you guys through is called the curator role. So within LinkedIn Learning, you can type in various different subjects and titles and software and even authors that you're looking for, and that will give you various different things to kind of go through. But one thing that's really exciting is that you can actually do something with the curator role. And that allows you to kind of group different options together. I'm going to pull up. Sorry, I apologize. Different slide. So you should be able to now see the curator slide. If you are granted the curator role, and if this is something that you're interested in, you can send me an email or you can send me a Teams chat, and I'm happy to add you as a curator. But what you can do is you can create your own learning content. So this might be something that would be helpful for your advising group or all the advisors as a whole. You can handpick specific videos from courses. You can group them in different sections. You can put the content in any order that you want and kind of add your own descriptions. And then you can target that group for your group of advisors or the advisor group in general. So this is something that you may have seen once a month. The Human Resources sends out kind of some information about LinkedIn Learning, and they're doing different targeted groups of content. So this is something that I think this group would find very useful. And I am going to just add this into your chat so you guys can take a look at this later. So I'm going to stop at this point and see if anyone has any questions. Okay, it sounds like no one has any questions. I pretty much wanted to just kind of make sure everyone was aware of LinkedIn Learning. We're super lucky that the university has decided to pay for this. Initially, it was rolled out as a pilot and it was just for staff. And now it's available to all of our staff, all of our faculty, and that's part-time, full-time, West Plains staff, West Plains students, Springfield, and then even the Dalian faculty are able to access LinkedIn Learning as well. And that is kind of all my presentation. So I will hand this back to Brian. Thanks for letting me join you.
Okay, thank you for that, Stacy. We appreciate that update. And I'm not going to switch over to my slide because all I'm going to do is turn it back over to Rob to do his part. And then when he gets done, I'll switch it over to Christy. So Rob, you want to take it away?
Thanks, Brian. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rob Martin. I'm Missouri State's Director of Cybersecurity and Enterprise Systems. One of my most important responsibilities is leading our information security office. And that office is here to keep Missouri State systems and data safe and secure. And most importantly, the personal information of our students. That's really what we worry most about. And so I wanted to spend a few minutes talking to this group about some things that we're seeing as far as cybersecurity threats that are current and relevant to you. So I've got three I wanted to talk about that we're seeing more of lately. And the first is particularly relevant, I think, to your role as academic advisors. One thing we've been seeing is that email accounts sometimes get compromised. A person will fall for a phishing scam or have a computer get infected with malware, any number of ways that could happen. And what we're seeing when those are student or alumni accounts is that sometimes the attacker will take existing email threads, sometimes years old email threads, and reply to them as that student with usually with an attachment. And that attachment likely contains malware that's designed to infect your computer and then possibly spread across our network. So you might receive an email from a student that you are advising or used to advise that resurrects an old el thread and generally might just contain some fairly generic text and an attachment. Oftentimes the natural thing to do would be to open that attachment and see what's going on. I would strongly advise against that because it could infect your computer. Anytime you see something that's just unusual or suspicious or you just have a question about, you can always forward that email or send an email over to the Information Security Office. It's just informationsecurity@missouristate.edu. We can take a look at that in a what we call a sandbox. We'll open the attachment, make sure it's not going to infect your computer, and let you know what's going on. That also might give us some really useful information about, a potentially compromised account. So just keep an eye out for anything suspicious like that. That's one that sort of thing has been going on for a while, and with the rollout of multi-factor authentication to all of our students is becoming less of an issue, but it really still exists. We're also seeing things that look like old email threads, but aren't really coming in from outside addresses that just at first glance, you might think, oh, I sent this email to a student a while back and they're replying with an attachment. That's just something to be aware of. Another thing that we're seeing more of lately is what's called a tech support scam. You might receive your screen on your computer might pop up with a scary looking warning that your computer has been infected with a virus or malware or ransomware, something like that. And that what you need to do is call a toll-free number on the screen to get that fixed. Oftentimes, this will be somebody pretending to be Microsoft. If you did call that number, then the person on the other end of the line would show you have you do some things on your computer that might convince you that you've been infected. They may or may not be just completely ordinary things you're looking at that look a little strange, and then proceed from there. They might try to infect your computer with malware. They might try to steal money. That's a common theme in this type of scam. But whatever happens, it's not going to be great. So that's just something to be aware of. If you get a pop-up on your computer telling you that that something's going on that you're not expecting, especially if it then asks you to call a phone number, be wary of that. Don't call the number. Send the information security office an email, and we'll follow up with you really quickly and take care of that issue. Oftentimes those pop-ups that we see come from malicious ads. Oftentimes on news sites, there will be advertising, and somebody who bought an ad might have snuck some malicious code past the news site and use that to try to display this kind of malicious advertising that tries to run a tech support scam or any other type of threat. The last thing I wanted to talk about was a scam that you have likely seen before. It is somebody will register an email address. I'll use Ross as an example. They'll register, Ross Hawkins 5258 at gmail.com. They'll go to Missouri State's website, see everybody who works in Ross's office, and send them an email from that fake Gmail address. Says something like, can you call me urgently, or can you send me your cell phone number? From there, they will, usually what's going on those is that they're gonna, the fake Ross is going to say, I need you to go to the store really quickly and pick up some gift cards for, for whatever purpose, and take a picture of them and email them to me, and we'll reimburse you later. Fake Ross isn't going to reimburse you, but that's one that we've seen a lot of over the last few years, and it's just something to be aware of. Once again, just if you see anything suspicious, send it on over to informationsecurity@missouri-state.edu. In the case of something where you're getting an email from a colleague or your supervisor or department head, it might always be a good idea to just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, did you send this to me? Especially if the request seems urgent or unusual. That kind of urgency is a tactic that attackers use all the time to try to get you to do something without thinking. And it's people fall for it because we all get caught up in the busyness of our day, see something pop by, just try to get it done really quickly and move back onto something else, and that's where they get you. So watch out for that kind of urgency and anything that looks unusual. But those are the three kind of relevant threats that I wanted to talk to you about, but I'm happy to take any questions, or does anybody have any questions? Well, thank you so much for your time. Once again, informationsecurity@missouri-state.edu. We are always happy to help. If something looks suspicious, and my favorite emails that we get are the times when we get something that somebody thinks was suspicious. It turns out to have been legitimate, but that's a great teaching moment. We would rather hear about things that are that don't turn out to be a threat than for a threat to get missed. So stay in touch. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Rob. And we'll have contact information at the end of this presentation to get a hold of us if you don't know who we are or how we get a hold of us. I know in my group, a lot of times something will come up and the first thing somebody will say is, well, so everybody go tell Rob. So then we'll kind of send him an email or go talk to him or something and say, here's what's going on. So you guys aren't the only ones who are having to contact Rob for things. We have to do that too internally. So, okay, next up is Christy Otting. She is the coordinator of user support. So I will let her talk about what she has going on. Christy?
Hi, everybody. It's good to be able to talk to everybody today. I wanted to be able to share some things that that we've all been working on over here for help in supporting students on campus, especially when it comes to self-service things. Because as we know, students would much rather fix things themselves or at least have an opportunity to try before they pick up a phone or send an email. So I just wanted to show you some of the ways that they can get help from us now in a more self-service way. Let me make sure to share my screen here. You can get to our new IT service portal from My Missouri State. And this is a way that students can report an issue themselves, putting a ticket directly into our queue without having to call or send an email. It is going to be, there's a link under the profile tab. There's a whole module here for tech support, but requesting IT help or service is the link to the IT service portal. And then it's also under Campus Life up here at the top. There's a link to the IT service portal here. Let me open it up and show you what this looks like. How many of you guys have actually used the IT service portal in the past year? Yay, good, good. It really is the quickest way to get help and to get your issue to the top of the queue. So we hope that a lot of people are using it, and we're continuing to refine it and try to make it more navigable and user-friendly. So this is what it looks like today. I wanted to show you that we do have some things in the works to maybe make it look a little bit different in the future. Let me see if I can move this bar out of the way so I can show you. There, are you seeing a little bit different view now? Okay, this is just our sandbox. So it's just a place that we're trying to get some ideas of ways to streamline it, to be able to make it more apparent where students would go and faculty and staff would go to get help. So we've kind of given them some directional buttons here to navigate through. But for the moment, for right now, this is what it looks like. And there's a couple of areas that I wanted to point out to you in the IT service portal that are especially helpful for providing support for students. One is this button up here at the top. There is a tab along the top that says new to MSU. This may have some little different wording next year when we roll out the new look, but this page has all the IT information that a brand new student might be wanting to find out. It's going to show information about the account and email, about registering their security information for self-service password reset, about Office 365 and OneDrive, printing, what kind of computer should I buy? One of the biggest questions that we get from new incoming students and parents, different software that they might need or utilize, and then even about wireless telephone and television within the residence halls. So it's a lot of really great information all in one spot, all available for the student to view on their own. If they do live in a residence hall, there's even a link directly to Residence Life, ResNet, right here for them to get to. If they're a West Plains student, they have a direct link to the West Plains client portal that has a little bit different look here, but you can see how, they've got their setup. So what we've done is try to get all of those different things where you go, I'm not really sure who I contact for this and who I contact for that. When should I contact MIS or when should I contact Rob or something? It's always appropriate to put in a ticket here, and we will make sure that it automatically gets routed to the right person so that you don't have to remember 50,000 things. You can just remember missouri-state.edu/help desk, and that will get you here. Or you can go through the portal, like I said. Another spot that I want to show you that's really helpful for students is when you click on request help or service, which is where you go to put in a ticket for us, there is a whole category at the top, well, two of them, but one specifically for essential services for students. And this is where we have gathered all of the issues that we think are going to be most pertinent to students. So 80% of the time, what a student is having issues with, they can get help right from here. And if they click on printing support and put in a ticket for printing support, that will directly be routed to the appropriate place to help with printing. if they click on wireless support, it is automatically routed to the correct group to help with wiring, with wireless. So we're able to utilize a lot of automation in this system. It's on the agenda as Team Dynamix, but that's the platform that it's built on. You would really know it more as our IT service portal. And that's what the students will know it as. You'll notice there's the same kind of category for faculty and staff. So again, about, I would say, I'd hope 80%, 85, 90% of the things that are of that you will need as a staff member as far as IT support can be found in this area, including if you have a new employee and want to get them set up with their IT services. There's a place specifically to go to that and get them all of their things. So that's our IT service portal. Some of you are familiar. So, but do you have any questions on that before I move on to the next thing I want to show you? All right, awesome. Well, let me see how I share something different here now, because now that we've given you a little bit of information, I have a quiz. All right, so here is your quiz question number 1. Of all of the tech support tickets that come in through, both through the IT service portal and then walk-ins and phone calls and stuff, to user support, to the help desk every year, how many do you think that we field every year? Do you think there's 6,000, B 16,000, or C 26,000? I'm going to see if I can check in the chat here and see if anybody has a vote. Ooh, we got some B's, a few C's. All right. Well, I will close this and give you the answer is C. You are correct. Over 26,000 tickets come our way every year. If you average that out, not including break, so 50 weeks a year, let's be generous. That's over 520 tickets per week. So that's how many tickets and issues are being reported. We're certainly hoping that we're making it easier with some of the self-service options that we have to be able to drive those numbers down and help people out. All right, you guys are doing great so far. So one more trivia question. Of those tickets, what do you think is the most reported issue? I mean, we are computer services, so makes sense that maybe A, computer software problems, B, forgotten passwords, or C, is it Blackboard issues, assignments, tests, and things like that? Let me see. Oh, yeah, C, maybe Blackboard, you think? We do hear a lot of that, especially lately. All right, some good guesses. The answer is B. Of those 26,000 tickets, well over a third of those are because somebody forgot a password. So one of the other things that we've been working on really hard here is to be able to fix this problem. And we've gotten some great resources because of all of the new security with multi-factor that we've been able to, let me see how I stop sharing now. Sorry. Because of multi-factor that we've been able to roll out, we've got some great new ways that we can help students with this terrible problem that is a lot of times the very first time that they contact us on campus is they've forgotten a password, and it just makes for a really rough start. I'm sure you've all had to deal with that yourself. So one of the big things is that because that we have multi-factor now, as of, I can't remember the exact dates, August, I think sometime, Rob might correct me if I'm wrong. Any new passwords that are set now will not expire.
That was July 27th.
July 27th. I should have that marked in infamy, and we should have a big party every year to honor July 27th. So big thank you to Rob for, and all of you that have helped with working toward rolling out multi-factor in your areas and with your groups. I know I've worked with a lot of you and different things. That is huge. And it is a huge benefit for our students who are just trying to get logged in to get their stuff done. But it's important that that multi-factor, that they set that information up so that they're able to get into their account. The other thing that this allows us to do is it also allows them, if they do forget their password, if you do get locked out of your account, did you know that you can unlock your account yourself and you can reset your own password? That used to be an immediate call to the help desk and, you know, take a troop of 15 people to be able to get that taken care of for you. But you can now do it yourself through the Microsoft's self-service password reset. Let me take you to where we go for that. And I will show you. Again, we're going back to the My Missouri State technical support. And if you can get into My Missouri State, you can actually go to the link called Manage Your Account and Password. And from here, you're at the new account management home. We used to send everyone to CAMS. Go to cams.missouri. You know, we had it stamped in our forehead on the inside of our eyelids. Go to CAMS. This is the new CAMS, right? Doesn't it look so much easier to navigate? This is where students go to activate their account. But if you already have an account, you can go here and you can unlock it. It will ask you the questions from the security information that you have input into the same place where you put it from multi-factor authentication. Or you can change your password. If you've either, maybe you remember it, but you like think, oh, you know, it's time I change that. I still want to follow some protocols and maybe change it once every 6 months or so, you can do that. Now, to be able to check what your security information is, there's a link here that says check or update security information. This is the kicker. You're able to utilize self-service password reset and take advantage of these functions, but only if you've been able to register the information that SSPR wants. And it can be a little tricky. You do need to register 2 of 3 different types of information. Either you input a phone number that you can text or get a call from. You will input a non-Missouri State email, right? Or you can download the Authenticator app and use that. Now, if you already have those registered for multi-factor, then you are good to go. But if maybe you're using a different thing or you only put in 1 for multi-factor, you'll want to go in and register a second one of those items to be able to take advantage of self-service password reset. And it's something that I think that every student should do as soon as they get their account, is make sure they've registered this information so that they have the ability to unlock their account and reset their password before they need it. So it's something you have to think of, kind of like insurance. You want it to get there before you need it. So let me go back to my slide here. Here's the information on the account places that you go, missouristate.edu/account. Register your information. And that's also where you go if you need to reset your password or unlock your account.
Christy, we didn't get updated on the screen. We're still looking at the old security info screen.
There we go. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
We got it. Thank you.
There's the pretty slide, but we'll move on from that. Okay. This is that account management home. You'll want to get familiar with that. And here's the information on 2 of these 3 methods to be able to get back into your account. Have any of you guys ever used one of these to unlock your account or reset your password yet? I will admit I have. Even with all of the setup and knowledge, I still every once in a while got locked out of my account. So this is just some things to keep in mind. Make sure as soon as possible, if you haven't already, go register for your self-service password reset and make sure students that you're working with get this done before they need it. Next time you have an IT issue, try putting in a self-service ticket and then let us know how that went, because we're continuing to tweak that system. We want to hear what works, what doesn't work. We want to be able to make it usable and simple for everyone to navigate and get to the help that they need. That's one of our goals, is to make it easy for customers to get help. And then another thing that I would ask is that you kind of help us get the word out. If this is something that works for you, let your students know. And if you have like template emails or template letters that you're sending out to your students, check and see what you're referencing for them in ways for them to get help for technology. Link them to that account page instead of having them go to CAMS. Link them to our IT service portal instead of giving them a phone number or an email. And that'll give them more options and more ways to get to things quicker. Any questions on any of that? Let me stop sharing here real quick until I find there's my. Great. Well, I just had one other quick thing to let you all know about while I've got you, and it's so close to finals and the end of the semester. I just wanted to share that our help desk hours of operation are on our website. I'll be sending those to the Signalvine group and a couple of other areas that you all might get an email from, but they are on our website so that as students are working through finals or getting needing a computer lab, the open access lab in the library will be open extended hours through midnight during finals. And then we will be, closing on the 22nd and be back next year. All right, well, if I don't have any other questions, I'll turn it back to Brian.
Okay, thank you very much, Christy. And I think Christy's, the work that she showed you here, I think is a good indicator that we listen to you all. Everybody around campus, we try to make things easier. A lot of times when you report something or something seems more difficult or more complicated than it needs to be, we know about it. We want to make it easier. It's not always possible to make things a lot easier for various reasons, but anytime that you find something that isn't working quite like what you think it should, or could be easier for you or easier for the students, we want to hear about it. We can't always fix it. We can't always fix it right away, but we want to know because we know how important it is for retention and student success and so forth. We're on board with that. So thank you, Christy. So I am going to finish this out with a few more updates. If I can get back to my slides. And do you guys see that? Okay. So I'm going to just go through a few things here. And at the end, I'll give a chance for you guys to have questions or comments. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is Banner self-service. Ellucian is the company that manages Banner, and they've been working to release new self-service applications. You sometimes hear these referred to as Self-Service 9 or SSB 9. Eventually, these applications will replace the old Banner self-service, which we call SSB 8, which you recognize as the way you get into most of your applications now. I will say that I admire the folks here who did live demos. I usually don't do that because it worries me. So I just have screenshots for you to look at, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. There's three main self-service applications, self-service 9 applications that are out there that are a lot different. You can find these on My Missouri State. The first is personal information, and you'll see this has a much more modern, updated look than our old self-service applications. The second one is the employee dashboard, which if you enter leave or hours, you go here to do things, or if you're a supervisor and you approve those things, this is where you go. The last one is financial services and AR. These are the three main ones we have out there. This is just kind of the landing page to go out and manage your account and do all kinds of stuff related to finances at the university. There's a few others, but these are the primary ones. But the thing I really wanted to talk to you about, all three of these are already in place. They're live on My Missouri State. But the one that's really exciting coming up is Self-Service 9 registration, which will be a big change compared to the old registration that we have. It's currently being implemented, configured, and tested by people on my team and the Office of the Registrar. For most faculty and staff, only the class schedule search will be noticeably different because you don't register for your students, they register themselves. But for students, the entirety of the registration experience will be completely different. The students can still use a trial schedule builder with the new registration system. The new system is planned to go live just prior to summer 22 SOAR sessions. And from that point forward, we'll just be on the new system. Technically, we could keep both the old and new system up at the same time, but the trial schedule builder cannot work with both at the same time. So we just decided to cut it off and go straight to the new system when we do the cutover. This will be an enormous change for the students for their registration. I have a few screenshots for you. This is kind of the landing page that they'll look at. You can see it's a lot different now. It's a more modern looking interface. It's mobile responsive, which I don't have a screenshot here, but if you pull it up on a phone or a tablet, the screen will automatically adjust and be easy to use even on a mobile device. The search screen, is similar to the one we have now. It's just in a more modern look and feel. And then the results are similar to what we have now for the search. And I didn't go any further into this, but the student experience is better. It's easier to use. It's easier to understand what you're doing. It'll be a better experience for the students all the way around. If you have questions about this is very early stages now. And I promise the registrar's office and my people that I would not roll this out to you guys with a bunch of questions. So if you have something that you want to know more about, just contact me and I'll kind of coordinate some of that feedback with any of you that have questions with the folks that are working on it. A Title III update real quick. I don't want to steal any of Kelly Wood's thunder on this, but most of you have heard of the Title III grant for first generation student success. One of the things that grant had in it was a 5-year term for a systems analyst on my team. It's actually a data analyst for student success. That person that we hired for that is Al Arnold, who is one of my most experienced systems analysts. For those of you who have been here for a while, you know that Al has been around for a while and has worked really hard for the advisors. Before he was in this position, he was the systems analyst for Residence Life. So he's kind of been around all over for student stuff for a while. Because of the broad overlap in applications between the Title III work and the work that you do with advising notes or an advisee list and your other applications, Al is kind of the systems analyst in charge of those applications. And he's already made a few changes to those and is kind of working already with folks in the advisement center and some others to make those changes. This is really great for you guys. It's great news for you because Al is the one who actually created some of these applications back before we went to Banner. So he's very familiar with how they work. He's worked really hard to put these together. So I think it's just a really big win for the advising community to have Al kind of in this role. Title III is his main focus and where he spends most of his time, but this other stuff is related to Title III and he'll be kind of on board with that too. One of the things that he's worked closely with Ross and others on is this advisors for current students, which will be released soon. It's very similar to the advisors for transfer students that many of you are probably already familiar with, but it will be for current students instead. And we're going to try to roll it out in the spring of 22. This is just a screenshot of what the advisors for transfer students looks like. It'll be very similar to this, almost identical, except it'll be advisors for current students instead. Part of the Title III initiative was getting better support for Signalvine. We basically now have rolled Signalvine out to the entire student body. Colleges will soon have the ability to send text messages to their students and manage the responses outside of the other purposes we're using for Signalvine for advising and for the Title III initiative. And we're going to try to get this ready for the spring of 22. Just real quick on this, CampusLink, which is the student engagement software that we've had for several years, is going to get replaced with a product called Presence. According to Tara and folks in her office, Presence has a lot better application for this type of thing, and they're super excited to move over to this. We've been working with Tara quite a bit to get this in place. As many of you probably know, the conventional wisdom for student retention is if they are engaged in the campus community and they feel like they're a part of the campus. And of course, student engagement is kind of our keystone office to kind of make sure that that happens. Blackboard Learn has had some updates. As you might know, support for Blackboard Learn moved to MIS last summer. Lacey Geiger is a systems analyst in charge of Blackboard Learn administration. She's been working with me for about 4 months now, and she is really getting into the role of administrator. And one of the things that I've asked her to do is to get down into the bowels of Blackboard Learn and learn more about how it works, including the database itself, so that we can get more of that information out of Blackboard Learn and leverage that data for things like the Title III initiative and other university goals that we might have to track students or faculty or anything else of that nature. We're also in the middle of forming a permanent Blackboard advisory committee that will include significant faculty and student representation, as well as staff and technology interests. We recognize, as we do with all of our applications, that the folks that are working out in the areas around campus own and manage these systems. They know best how to use them for themselves and for the students to meet the university's goals. We don't want to be in the way of that. Obviously, we have to be involved so we know what needs to happen, but we don't want to be the ones in charge of that. And we're really supportive of this new committee getting together and helping us figure out how to use Blackboard Learn. Evaluation Kit is something we've been using for distance classes for a long time. This semester, we're starting basically a new initiative that all instructor evaluations go through Evaluation Kit. No matter what classes they are, that means no more bubble sheets for instructor evaluations, which I would assume would be great for the instructors out there and also for us in IT, because it's an enormous amount of work for us to process those every semester. Stacy's group is the main one who does that, and I think that she is probably happier than anybody else on this call that those things are gone. I'm certainly happy about it. Also included in that is the iGrade responses that we collect. If you remember back in the old days where we handed out an iGrade sheet as well as an instructor evaluation sheet, so students had to bubble in 2 different sheets and they wondered why on earth they had to do that. Now iGrade questions are part of the evaluation kit process. The students just go through and answer their instructor evaluations and iGrade all in one seamless survey that they have to fill out. The iGrade stuff is kept separate and shipped over to the iGrade application that we have for display later. And then the rest of the instructor evaluations just go down the normal happy path of the instructors and their administrators in our colleges. So we're really excited about this getting off the ground. It's taken a lot of Lacey's time right now to keep this going, but we're hoping that it gets turned over into the academic areas starting next semester. Evaluation Kit is integrated into Blackboard Learn. So you go to Blackboard Learn to fill these things out, so students are already familiar with how to get to it. And it also can be used for various priority surveys, such as the COVID check-in surveys. Some miscellaneous things that we've talked a little bit about already that you may or may not be interested in. One is advancement. Our area actually purchased a CRM that went live last summer. We're still working with that. Slate, which is a CRM for students and recruiting, went live for fall 22 applications for undergraduates already. So students have a much better, undergraduate students have a much better application experience than they did before. And the recruiting side on Slate is also much better. So that's your Office of Admissions that is working on that. Grails is a software application that we use internally to create those custom web applications that you see that has the little design by computer services on the upper right of the screen. That's advising notes, advisee lists, test scores are all part of that. It's slated to be upgraded by next summer, and we're working hard on that. It's taken a lot of our bandwidth for things, so some custom development is kind of put on the wayside until we can get that done. As always, we continue to work on accessibility concerns for custom and vendor software, including those self-service 9 applications that I showed you earlier. There's going to be a new web content management system for web strategy and development called Omni. I asked them to come and speak to you about it this time. They said it wasn't ready to really show to anyone yet. So they said that next time it'll be ready and they would like to show it to you guys and kind of how that works for any of you who are involved with updating our public facing website. My Missouri State, which is the portal that Christy and Stacy both showed you and that you're all familiar with, I'm sure. And then the mobile app that we run off the app stores will both need to be replaced by 2024. So we will be looking at making some major changes in that area in the next couple of years. And we'll be soliciting feedback from around campus on how we can make that a better student experience and better for faculty and staff as well. One other thing that I know that some of you support folks remotely, and sometimes you have remote calls with students and advisees and probably others as well. We actually have updated our conference rooms in Cheek. We now have what I call a Zoom room, but it's actually a Microsoft Teams meeting room that we've updated. It's completely changed, including new furniture. We haven't really even gotten in there yet and used it very much, or I haven't. But if you are looking for some examples of how to set some stuff up like that, we're certainly able to kind of give you a tour and show you how it works. If you're familiar with some of the other areas in Carrington that have been updated, they've kind of been done the same thing, the same way with a little bit different technology. Of course, that's important because, you know, we're remote is a thing that we've always had to deal with for a long time, but COVID just really kind of changed the parameters on that completely. And so we have to think about how we can better support folks who are in a remote location. And that's one way you can do that. The last thing I wanted to let you know is something we talked about at the very beginning. We have several open positions in IT, like most of the people around campus and most of the people in the country, as you've probably heard, reading the news and so forth, are having trouble finding and retaining people. I will tell you the number one way that we get folks to come and work for us in IT is by word of mouth. So if you know of anyone in your professional contacts or your family or your friend areas or any place like that who are interested in IT and are looking for a great place to work, we would appreciate you just kind of pointing out the fact that we always have IT positions open. There's a lot of different areas in IT that we have that people may be qualified for, and we welcome any work that you can do to help us keep our positions open so we can help you keep all of your applications running and make things better for you all the way around. So that was miscellaneous stuff. We have 5 minutes left. I would love to hear from you anything that might be an issue that we can better handle, what things are going well for you, what things we can do better to support you or advising in general, and just a general, how do you see advising changing in the next 5 or 10 years? I can tell you that I work closely with Ross and Darren and others to try to stay on top of this stuff. But anytime that you have a chance to give some input to us or others on how to make things better, we want to hear it. Like I said before, we can't always do the things that you ask us to do for whatever reason. Either we don't have the staffing to do it, or it's more complicated than it seems, or sometimes the software just doesn't allow us to do those things. But if you tell us the problem that you're having and an idea of how to solve it, or maybe just a general, I have this problem, I wish I could solve it, then maybe we can work with you to figure something like that out. So with that, if we have any questions or comments about that, or any of those questions that you guys want to talk about, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, I put the contact information for everybody up here on the screen, so you can get a chance to reach out to us and talk to us.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say there are a couple questions in chat. One being, are you willing to share the PowerPoint presentation?
Absolutely.
And then if you would just get that to me, I'll make sure to get it out to all the participants today. And then there was a question, a follow-up question regarding the open positions. Who would be best to contact, or you just make referrals to the website?
Yes. So I see those questions now. I couldn't see them before, but I see them now. I can get the PowerPoint out to you, Ross. I will do that. The best person to contact, I think Teresa answered, to go to the MSU job site, and then then contact Teresa, then contact me, just to talk about what it's like to work here. I can tell you that I've had really good luck just talking to people ahead of time, kind of a pre-interview, if you will, about people saying, I don't know if I want to apply for this or not. And usually when I talk to them, I can kind of give them an idea of what they're getting into and what they have. I can tell you now that it's really difficult for us to compete with our starting salaries. But I think our total compensation package is very competitive, but you really have to dig into that a little bit and understand it a little bit better to understand what that's all about. I was just talking to one of our distributed user support folks who was coming in, and he basically confirmed that. He said that even the salary was competitive from where he had come from, but certainly the total compensation package for what we offer is much better than where he was coming from. So I urge people that when you talk to them and you say, hey, I heard about this thing at Missouri State or whatever, and then the person shoots back and says, oh yeah, those salaries are terrible, and then say, yeah, but wait a minute, have you looked at the whole thing? And let me give you this guy's number and you can talk to him about it, and he can kind of tell you about that. So I would urge you to do that to help us out too.
Okay, any other questions?
I will say that I really appreciate having the opportunity to talk with you guys, Ross, and I look forward to doing it again. As you know, technology changes quickly, so having these even once a semester isn't too much, but certainly once a year I think is is definitely warranted. So we really, really appreciate the chance to talk with you guys.
Yeah, and right back at you, Brian and Rob, Stacy, and Christy. We really appreciate all you do. I know when I have the opportunity to attend advising conferences, oftentimes I'll mention things that we have at Missouri State that help us, be the best advisors we can be. And other schools are often like, how does that happen? How do you work so closely with your IT people? And it really seems like the relationship that we have built between all of you and MIS, as well as advisors, it's really unique. And so I appreciate how you all are willing to work with advisors and advocate for us at your level.
Sure, we love it.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for being here today. I will likely get the PowerPoint presentation sent out hopefully sometime tomorrow. Remember that we do have our final advisor forum tomorrow from 12 to 1 via Zoom, so I hope to see all of you again tomorrow. Thanks again, Brian, Christy, Rob, and Stacy for being here with us today.